All right, everybody, this is Brian from Witch Doctor. Thank you for tuning in. We are continuing our series on primers. We have great interest being drummed up here, looking at different priming tools and the effects of things like rim thickness and pocket depth, things like that. So lots of very interesting discussion, lots of various tools out there to, get the job done. So I just want to thank some users for suggesting, like users were talking about this. This is the old Sinclair primer seating tool. There's a newer one, but anyway, someone mentioned, well, this tool eliminates rim thickness when you put the brass piece in and then you turn it down and it holds the brass piece in place, so there is no slop going up or down, which creates the rim thickness dependency. So thanks Boyd for sending this to me. He said, hey, I have one of those tools. I have a few different priming tools, but I'll send this to you and take a look at it and let me know what you think. So I added it to our list of different tools being looked at here. So once again, it's just slide the brass in, turn it, and it locks it in place pretty stout. And then that's how you seat the primer, okay? Primer seating depth is controlled by this by this little bolt here, and all you do is take an Allen wrench, turn it in for less depth, and turn it out for more depth. So very simple mechanism going on there with this. So anyway, so that's the old Sinclair. And so what I did for the test is exactly what I did with the PMA tool, the Lee ACP, and the primal rights, is I took the same pieces of brass that I have all numbered here, 1 through 20, and went ahead and seated all 20 of them using this primer tool. So you just throw the primer in. It's a single feed primer tool, so throw the primer in, lock it down by turning that. See, there's no slop at all. And then go ahead and seat. And what I did is I did a double tap, much like I did with the PMA, the Lee, and the primal rights, just to kind of keep everything consistent. And so grab that and then do my measurements to measure with both tools. See if their measurements get very similar. So anyway, did that with all 20 of these. Again, they're all numbered, and then put them all in a database. And the database, and I'll show the data right now on the screen. The total cumulative error, which is basically the difference between, I set this tool to the Sinclair and all the rest of the tools to seat at 0.008 of an inch depth. And so the total cumulative error is all 20 of the depths subtracted from 0.008. And for this tool, the total was 0.010. So 10 thousandths was the total cumulative error. So that puts it on par with the Lee ACP, which only had, I think, 6,000 cumulative error. PMA had 32 and Primal Rights had 60. So this Sinclair tool, also we correlated, or we saw, was there a correlation with this Sinclair tool between seating depth and rim thickness? And there was no correlation. Okay, correlation coefficient was not large, was not statistically significant, so there really was no correlation between seating and rim thickness with the Sinclair tool, nor with pocket depth and seating. So no correlation there. So anyway, so it looks like the Sinclair tool can be categorized with the Lee ACP as being a basically not dependent on rim thickness when seating a primer. So it is part of that. And people were spot on about that who mentioned that just this mechanism that really locks down the brass eliminates the rim thickness dependence. And anyway, so very good tool. Highly recommend it if you're really interested in very consistent seeding depths that are not rim thickness dependent. It sounds like we have some other users that are sending over some more tools, so I look forward to checking those tools out. I think we're going to be looking at the newer Sinclair and a K&M tool, so I really look forward to seeing those and trying those out, adding them to the database and seeing what they do. And just want to thank all of the people that are out there on the forums and my Patreon page, adding constructive comments and really adding to the learning environment, sending me priming tools to test out. Of course, I'll send it back, don't worry about it. And just contributing to the knowledge. Certainly helpful and thankful for you. Please continue to do so, and please, if you're not on my Patreon page, please join. One other thing in terms of Patreon, there is a new user on Patreon named Bench Addict, BENCH space ADDICT. Bench Addict is really going into depth on data and what we're finding with these types of tools. Pocket depths, what are standard variations there? Just a number of different variables out there. Plotting the average, cup height and, primer height of different types of primers and everything. So generating a lot of useful data for people to look at to, when they think about, should I uniform my primer pockets? All kinds of different questions that will be answered with the data being generated there. So I definitely recommend that you take a look at Bench Addict's Patreon page also. All right. Thanks for joining me, everyone. Take care.